Members of the National Assembly this morning poked holes to the second Supplementary Appropriations Bill 2018, tabled before the floor of the House, raising concerns on the proposed decisions by the National Treasury. The parliamentarians noted with concern that Treasury approved 1.5 billion shillings payment for 13.5-acre school land in Ruaraka in Nairobi on supplementary appropriations, contrary to set guidelines.
What is of concern is when we were now interrogating this matter, we were being told that this amount was released under Article 223, which amount should only be paid for matters that are emergency in nature, or matters that are so critical to this country that cannot wait for parliamentary approval. But Madam Speaker, the Treasury allowed this money to be paid, and when you ask the Ministry of Education under whose votes this money has been released, they tell you point blank that as a ministry we were a conduit. A conduit for who?
1.5 billion already paid out, Madam Speaker, without evidence of the real owners of that land. I feel that this House must say no to that kind of spending, Madam Speaker. And we cannot be used to sanitize an illegality that has already taken place.
Since this matter of Ruaraka, the Ruaraka Drive-In School and Ruaraka High School, is a matter that is under active investigation, not just by a committee of this House, but also by a committee of the other House, Honorable Speaker, that we do allow those committees to conclude their work before we approve the payment of that.
To this end, Parliament says it is considering amending the Public Finance Management Act in order to scrutinize the executive powers enjoyed by the National Treasury in emergency spending.
This House is under obligation to amend the PFM Act and give provisions under the PFM Act on how the minister can use that provisions of the article in the Constitution. Because in my opinion, it's being abused.
The reduction of the development budget by 17.6 billion shillings in the supplementary budget also raised eyebrows, especially in the face of heavy rains that have wreaked havoc on key infrastructure. With the government recently advocating for a policy on leasing of medical equipment, the parliamentarians were concerned as to why 1.7 billion shillings out of the total 8.2 billion shillings has been allocated in the supplementary budget for the purchase of that 7 CT scans.
Madam Chair, supplementary budgets are not there to provide for additional development programs. They are there to only address emergencies.
We were listening the other time. Before even the clear explanation is given on that, now we are buying. But we need to understand whether there is value for money, because there are people who think we are spending so much money beyond the ordinary or the reasonable price.
The supplementary budget worth 11.97 billion shillings comprises, among others, 200 million shillings for electoral processes by IBC, 173 million shillings for the ongoing digitization of the land registry, and 2.1 billion shillings for irrigation as well as flood control. Nicholas Nduwati, Business Insight.